Hello everyone, welcome to this IRIS webinar. My name is Pierrick Delez and I'll be your host today. I'm joined by Henning Krause and David O'Sheridan to speak about the hybrid experience. They will tell you all about that in a minute, but before that, I'd like to give you some practicalities. First, we are using a tool which is called Livestorm. We cannot hear you, but you can communicate with us via the question tab on the right-hand side of your screen. We will also do some polls during the webinar, so that's us asking you questions, so don't hesitate to answer those polls. And an important information is that this webinar is being recorded. That means that the recording will be available tomorrow on our website, irisdatacapture.com/webinars. That's a place where you can find, by the way, all the recordings and all the documents related to previous webinars. So I think it's time now to start the webinar. David, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Pierrick. Hello, world, and thank you for joining us to this Livestorm session. My name is David O'Sheridan, and I'm working for IRIS since January 2012. I've started my journey in IRIS as a pre-sales engineer, so I do have a very strong technical background. And today, I am a member of the IRIS P&T solution team, heading the Northern Business Development in Europe. Over to you, Henning.
Thank you, David. Yes, hello from my side as well. I'm Henning Krause, Director Partner Sales in EMEA. Guess I'm 14 and a half years with IRIS, but not as you, David, with that technical background. So I always had the vision on sales, even if it's a technical partner sales. So welcome as well from my side. Love to see that so many people are attending right now, and we give you an insight in our ideas in how we can help you do some business with forms extraction, forms recognition, and these things. But at first, let me introduce you a little bit to the company, because I guess for this forms recognition, it is pretty important to look a little bit in the past. Many of you will know we have been founded in 1987, are located in 9 countries, slightly around 100 million euros revenue per year, and a little bit more than 615 employees. So you see, we are a medium-sized international company. Right here in that call, you as well have even from the speaker side, a mix of Belgium, Germany. So we are able to deal with it. And the audience shows, I guess we have from almost any continent, someone in the web meeting where I'm pretty proud of. Could you just go on with the next slide, David, please? To show you what IRIS is aiming at. It's always one thing, it's information management, and it's all around information management, like scanning, like archive, document process, and workflow things. But in our core, we have this OCR, which has been one of the foundations of IRIS even 30 years ago. We have this data extraction where we are based on and where we have very deep knowledge in, and even classification on artificial intelligence or using artificial intelligence. That's what IRIS is aiming on. And what is very important is that all these technologies are completely developed and maintained by IRIS. So it's our own intellectual property. We are not relying on anyone to give us the most actual, the best, the newest stuff. We can do it ourselves. And in these market sectors of OCR and compression, of classification and data extraction, we are at least amongst the 3 market leaders in each of these technologies. So we have a very strong position there. And if you are relying on our technology, you are relying on a world-class leading technology at that point. Could you please go on? I told you it is sometimes pretty important to look into the past to find solutions for the future. As you already know, as I've told you, we have even right now more than 30 years of experience in optical character recognition. That's what Pierre de Meulenaer started the company with. We have more than 25 years of experience in forms processing. So even in the times when these forms processing was not software-based, but even hardware-based, we were already doing it. Starting in the last century, delivering very big forms processing or forms extraction solutions in the banking sector, in the medical sector. But over the last 25 years, it turned out that forms are sometimes not only fixed forms. And if you have a look at these different document types, it's always very interesting to sort them a little. So we have on the one side these fully structured documents where the content is structured and where you can have a look at an X and Y position, and from there you can go on and read out something, extract the information, because you know where to find them. In the past, these always have been reasonable candidates for template-based methods to extract information from these. So typical forms design, which you could have been doing with our form solution over the last 25 years. In comparison to that, if you look onto the document on the right side, you have some sort of a business letter which is completely unstructured. It starts somewhere with a text, and in this text information are built in. This is a candidate for a free text-based extraction methods, which are typically not forms. And then you have these semi-structured content, like, invoices. I mean, you know what's on these, but you don't know where. And it has a structure, you can calculate it. And if you then think of some sorts of documents which have, on the one hand, fully structured content at a certain point, but then, in addition to that, have semi or unstructured content at a certain position on the document, it is a candidate to mix these methods. And that's why we, as IRIS, have elaborated our solution package forms to a solution package hybrid forms, where you can extract even not only the documents which you see on the left side, which are fully structured, but even those ones which are semi-structured, which have a certain part which can be described by reading from an X and Y position to another X and Y position. And then in addition to that, have a part where you can have free form searches, where you can apply regular expressions to find values or whatsoever. To go even deeper into that solution hybrid forms, I need to rely on the technical knowledge David can provide. And please, David, be so kind and help a little bit to understand what we can do with our solution package hybrid forms.
Thank you very much, Henning, for this smart introduction. Yes, so it is a real pleasure and a great honor to present this webinar session about our hybrid form solution. Believe me, there will be a lot of interesting and cool stuff discussed around this technology, but I only got 25 minutes, so it would be too much pretentious within this time frame to cover every and each technical aspect of this technology. But I promise to give a try and at least to provide you a global overview about it, but also some tips, tricks, hints, good practices in order to get the most out of it. In the end, The goal of this session is to provide to our partners, customers, and users the guarantee of an optimal business process optimization handling the most challenging documents. Isn't that awesome? So please sit back, relax, keep calm, stay focused, and more importantly, enjoy. Let us describe the program of this webinar. So the first part, more theoretical, will cover a few important aspects such as what hybrid form means for us, a document quality assessment, the key features of the hybrid form data capture solution, and why do we need to secure the extracted result. Then, on the second part, more practical, we will focus on a real-time demonstration. Eventually, we will go through a very, very quick conclusion and surely a Q&A session during which we will be delighted to answer all your questions. So please do not hesitate to challenge us. Let's get it started. So what does hybrid form means? Powered by the Iris Extract for Document platform, the hybrid form concept is the ability to combine in a single project all the free text searches on machine printed data based on the free form approach, together with the zonal extraction of handwritten data, like fields and checkboxes. As a reminder, the free form approach is the capacity to intelligently search for any information anywhere on a document. This is also including a table, thanks to the so-called table finder. And for the handwritten part, the system needs to know the position, or at least being able to calculate the position against a criteria. And consequently, of course, we need to use the template approach. So if you only need free text searches, hybrid form is for you. If you only need zonal extraction, hybrid form is for you. And if you need both, hybrid form is for you. I will, of course, focus on both approaches during the session. At this stage, there are already two important remarks. The first one is, we do have pre-packaged solutions based on the free-form approach, specifically designed to deal with invoices and incoming purchase orders. So if you want to process those documents, you don't need to create a hybrid form project from scratch. Everything is already configured and ready to be easily deployed using those solution packages. The second one is, while the hybrid forms includes a limited classification engine, which will be described later on, by the way, a more advanced classification engine based on artificial intelligence and deep learning mechanism is available within our digital mailroom solution. Of course, if you really need a very high advanced classification mechanism on top of hybrid form, the good news is that we can combine those solutions together. So, as you can see here from the slide, the full process is following the same basic method from all our solutions, from step 1 up to step 4. The step 1 is the acquisition phase. How are we going to get some information from the external world? It could be either physically, because you need some paper-based document to be scanned, or even electronically, because you are receiving emails that are containing attachments. So this is very easy, and we have multiple input channels to feed the system. Then we have the step 2 and the step 3. This is exactly what we are going to focus today. Then the step 4 is the integration part. You need to know that Iris Extract isn't an archiving system, nor a document management system. So the output result, together with the files, needs to be integrated to business applications. And just to remind you, we already got a webinar session focusing on the integration part. So please do not hesitate to check out our website to be able to do a replay of this webinar session. So basically what you need to remember from this slide here is that step 1 and step 4 are fairly easy to achieve. Let's go with the document quality assessment. While this seems odd, the quality assessment is a crucial step in order to understand the expected output result. There is no magic. In one hand, bringing high quality documents in will lead to high quality output. And on the other hand, bringing poor or degraded quality documents in could lead to a not so high quality output. This needs to be clearly specified and understood. And here are a few tips for managing and controlling the document quality assessment. For instance, can we use a clear instructions on how people need to fill a form? It is 100% crystal clear that people need to follow those instructions to avoid any delays during the process. For instance, okay, please use block capitals to write information like name, surname, and so on. And of course, when you have to check a checkbox, there is a kind of a proper manner to do it. Otherwise, this could be perceived to be invalid. Next to that, we could potentially also use anchor points, and this is having two main benefits. And the first one is around the form classification. It could be that on the same project and on the same process, you would love to handle multiple form types. And the usage of anchor points will determine the form type. This is the first benefit. The second benefit of using anchor points is the usage of the image pre-processing. So we could potentially compute the distance between anchor points and the value that you need to read. And of course, we can also put a desqueuing in the form to make sure that the extraction process that will happen later on is best. All right. What about the fields and the checkbox definitions? So ideally, they should share the same methods and not a mixed up ones. Why? Because this will significantly reduce the amount of time needed to implement a form project. If multiple fields are sharing the same methods, you just need to create the first one, and you could easily copy paste this to all the same fields. And of course, the checkbox, yes, you can have rectangle, you can have circles, but please keep only the same ones. Let's go to the key features and highlighting them. The first one I would like to highlight is the image processing. This is, of course, very important to clean as much as possible an image that has been scanned, for instance. Of course, we have automatic orientation, desqueuing, despeckling. We can apply some color dropping out. We can remove unwanted data like the vertical and or horizontal lines. And last but not least, we can also apply a completely background removal in such a way that the system will only focus on the information that we need. The good news is also that this image pre-processing functions can be applied on 3 different levels. We have the global one. This will happen to every and each documents which is hitting the system, but we can also apply some of them on a particular form type. And even inside a zone, we could potentially do some cleanup. So for instance, we can do a global desqueuing. And for a specific form type, we can apply a background removal. And then in a specific zone of that form type, we can maybe remove the noise by applying a despeckling. This is really good. The second features I would like to highlight is the classification. So as already mentioned, we can use the anchor point to do the classification. Another way to classify those form types would be linked to the fingerprint, and the layout of the form will be stored to do the classification. Let's go now to the data extraction part. So we have the freeform extraction. As you know, this is only applicable on machine printed data. And we can search anywhere for any kind of fields like, okay, barcodes, any format, in any direction. We can search for dates, any format. There is no problem. We can search for amounts and decimals anywhere. We can also look for specific text like string via dedicated search strategies. The strategies are maybe just a regular expression that would fit and match a specific maybe reference number. We can also apply some DB lookups. So if you have a reference data with the name of your customers, for instance, the system could look for them. And last but not least, also have the key value search, where you can combine all the possible way to search a label via a DB lookup, for instance, in order to extract the right value. And the value can be also a regex or another DB lookup. We can also extract table, whatever the table is. So we use a fantastic technology called Table Finder that will intelligently look entirely in a document for what we call the reference line. And when this reference line has been detected, the full table can be extracted. Next to this machine printed, let's say, data extraction, we have the template extraction focusing on the handwritten part. Of course, we do have intelligent character recognition to read fields. We also have engines to read checkboxes. When you have multiple ICR engines enabled into the project, we can even enable what we call the multi-engines, and in such a way that every engine will try to read the value. Afterwards, there is a voting mechanism that will take the final decision. All these key features here are completely available with a low to no code philosophy, which is extremely important for us. Let's go to this topic, very interesting. So how and why do we secure the extracted values? Mostly related to the handwritten part, it is really necessary to restrict the character set for a field. For instance, do we authorize together uppercase, lowercase, and digit characters? Then the extracted value needs to be challenged accordingly to a condition. Like, okay, we need to extract a date value. Is this value inside a correct format, like day/month/year? And if yes, does it match the corresponding business rules? For instance, a typical example is the birth date. It doesn't make any sense to have a future date for the birth date, right? Another example would be to check the extracted result via just a regular expression. For instance, a zip code, of course, depending on a particular country, can maybe only authorize digits. This is the case in Belgium, only 4 digits. Another way to secure the results is to challenge the extracted value against a DB lookup. The system could use some reference data to check the validity of a field. For instance, the system would need to extract a country code by its ISO code. We could simply list all the valid ISO codes in what we call a master data, and any other extracted value that is not contained in the list will lead to a validation mismatching. Then why is it so important to challenge the extracted values? Well, there are at least 2 main reasons. The first one is about security. We definitely need to guarantee that what the system will submit to a business application is 100% correct. And the second one is to avoid what we call false positives. This is really the worst case scenario. A false positive is passing the validation checks, but the reality is a wrong value. For instance, you have David is not equal to DAV1D. Fortunately, we have some techniques to enable and to make sure that this is not happening. You can imagine that any check that will fail will lead to some validation. The validation is a crucial step that can only be performed by operators. And the purpose of the validation is to resolve those exceptions, basically. Okay, so now it's the moment to perform a very nice demo.
David, just
Yes.
while you switch to your environment,
Yep.
demo
Yep.
environment, I just realized that I forgot to say that there will be a Q&A session at the end. So after the demo, we will have a session where we will answer your questions.
Super. Thank you, Pierrick. All right, so this is my virtual machine, and I do have, okay, some PDF files over here. Let's have a look to them. It is completely homemade, so I just decided to perform this kind of form, highlighting, of course, all the key features that we were discussing, and to have a kind of an easy, let's say, end-to-end demonstration. So, okay, let's have a look in details what it contains, basically. So, of course, we have a barcode. This barcode is a kind of a PDF 417 format. We also have some machine printed data, and those one can of course fluctuate a little bit, so the position is not always the same. And of course, we also have some handwritten data, which is also including some checkboxes. All right. So I will just basically copy those files into a hot folder, but before doing this, I will just show you the supervision and monitoring tool. We call this one the Iris Extract Cockpit, which is supposedly to be used by a super user or maybe a system administrator, just to ensure that the system is running in a nominal way. But I am enjoying showing you this because this is really real-time demonstration. So for the moment, I have nothing inside the system. All the queues are empty. I will just copy those files and I will just drop them to one of my hot folder. Of course, the system basically understands that something new has arrived inside my hot folder, and it is immediately trying to import them. So basically, I'm just simulating an acquisition based on, you know, an MFP device where you drop your forms, you press the scan button, those files will arrive in this hot folder, and everything is done automatically. Of course, after a successful import, we enjoy to clear all those documents from the hot folder. If I now go back to my cockpit, we will see that something new has arrived into my system and it is basically being analyzed. So what the analyze component is doing is basically making sure that the image process is done correctly. It will perform all the data extraction, mixing the handwritten together with the machine printed stuff. And of course, afterwards, it will evaluate every and each document. If one of them is failing, those documents will go to the verify application. So of course, for the purpose of the demonstration, I'm putting all the documents inside the verify because I want to check all the data. At production level, you can imagine that if some documents are really valid, we're going to split out them from the batch and we will immediately submit them to the business application in such a way that documents inside the verify will only focus on the failed one. Okay, that's important to know. But for the purpose of the demonstration, I enjoy, let's say, to see everything basically. So let's open this job. This is, let's say, the verify application. This is the standard GUI for standard user. And as you can see from the left-hand side, we have the batch definition. In the middle, we see the results of the scanning. And at the right-hand side, we can see all those fields that has been extracted. As you can see from the left-hand side, I have two candidates here where they are valid. So basically, at production level, as I mentioned, those one will immediately fly to the backend system. Let's see. So of course, we have a barcode over here. This is the value I've put in. We can also extract a kind of a reference number. This is purely done by a regex, a regular expression, where we definitely need to have 3 uppercase characters, and then 6 digits, and then 3 uppercase characters. If the system was not able to pick up that information, it will left blank. Blank means forbidden because this is a mandatory field. So this could potentially already be an issue. Luckily enough for us, the system was able to pick this information automatically. Yeah, by the way, I just click on the image to read the text behind. And if there were a kind of, I don't know, a wrong value inserted, immediately the system will complain because it's not matching my regular expression. So this is really easy. Then we have two dates. One of them is a particular date where the month is written, but this is not a problem because I told you we can extract any date format, so the months can be written. Behind that, we have a kind of a DB lookup, and you can imagine that it's not linked to a certain language, so it could be French, German, Italian, English all together. That's fine. But the first one here is selected. Why? Because this one is happening, the first one, in a geometrical perspective. Bear in mind that for us, the geometrical perspective is starting from the upper left corner, and then it goes to the right, and then it goes below, and so on. So this date is the first one extracted. That's why I'm putting that here. The second one is a little bit different because we do have a start date. And this start date is an anchor, a text anchor. So in order to extract the start date, I need first to find this text anchor. And then, of course, I'm checking all the possible check for the date. It has to be a valid date. Don't try to punch alphabetic character. This is not working. Okay, then let's go to the handwritten parts. So here, of course, we have some vertical and horizontal lines, but I have performed a background removal. So if I go now just to switch from the scanned image to the processed image, we can see that those information that are really not relevant for us to read are completely filtered in such a way that we got the most clean, let's say, zone to read the handwritten. And this is perfectly working fine. So we have James Bond living in Skyfall, in a street 007 in London in the MI6, based in UK. All right, so just for your information, the UK is fine because it is a valid existing entry on my ISO codes, if you remember. So those are ISO codes for all the countries. And if you start typing something, immediately the system will challenge the list and filter to the list to match the candidate. So it's UK, that's perfect. What's wrong with this basically form? Basically, our friend James has ticked both checkboxes, which is from a validation point of view, not okay. Either you are happy or you are not happy, but not both at the same time. So this is exactly why the system is complaining, because more than one checkbox is allowed. So of course, if I'm removing one, the system will be happy and my documents entirely becomes available. So this was the unique problem here. Of course, if I'm unticking the no, it will go back to an issue. Yeah, at least one of them needs to be ticked. Okay, so I will just say yes. And what about the rating? Okay, he didn't enjoy this demo, so he said, okay, very bad. Okay, no problem. As you can see, we can put different values, of course, for each and every checkbox. This is completely free. For the rating, I was authorizing the system to get up to 3. Above, it will complain. Okay, and of course, I also authorize this to not be, let's say, checked. So it can be left completely empty. Let's go to the second document. It's the same one. So we have, again, a barcode. We have another reference. We have a date. And again, this date is happening, the first one, compared to the second one. This one is, let's say, Dark Vador. Okay, our friends, may the force be with you. He didn't put any address. Well, it could have put maybe the dark moon or whatever, but those fields for my process are not mandatory. That's why it's not complaining. Let's go to the happiness. And interestingly, Dark Vador was saying that he was happy and then he decided to switch to no. But the yes is not ticked because we can detect that this is cancelled. So how this is working, basically purely we just count a specific number of pixels, and this number needs to be in between threshold, min and max. So if it is below the min, like this one, it's not ticked. Fantastic. But if it is above the max, then it is also not ticked. We can detect that. All right. Let's go to the third document. This one is also a very good sample without any problems. So we have, of course, the barcode, the reference, the date, which is in another place. We have the start date, which is in another place, but due to the label, we can still extract it. We have Captain America from Marvel Comics in this street number in New York, and he's living in the US. And he's happy, by the way, and he didn't rate the demo. That's not an issue. Let's go to the last one. Again, barcode, reference number, again located somewhere else. We have a date, we have a start date. This is Wonder Woman, which is literally living into the same place where the IRIS headquarters in Belgium is located, by the way. But the issue is that she didn't answer the question, are you happy, yes and no? Okay, I will say yes by default. Again, that's it. My full documents here composed in the batch are valid, and we can now safely close the job. The validation process is done. So if you say yes, I will just go back to my cockpit. There is no new job in between. If I go back to my cockpit, now the system basically will be busy to export the output results. And when everything is done successfully, it goes to the trash. All right, so I will not focus on the export. As I mentioned to you, this has been part of a webinar session last week. What you just need to remind over here, so there are only two manual work here. The first one is the acquisition. Yes, someone needs to click on the scan button or maybe to click on the send button from an email. And the second human operation is only linked to the verification. All the rest is completely performed automatically. This is concluding my demonstration. I will go back to the slide deck. And of course, this presentation was given in order to tease you, in order to give you the appetite to go forward this technology. There are still quite a lot of opportunities out there. And the key message from IRIS is we are here to help you bringing an opportunity to a successful business process optimization. It is now the time for the Q&A session, so please come on and shoot.
Thank you, David. I just published a poll, a survey online to check with the audience if they liked your demo, so you will know very soon if they liked it or not. Right?
Thank you, Pierrick.
So that's the surprise. We've got some questions here. Let me start with this one from Eric. What OCR engine is used for this demo? One of the defaults or a specific one?
No, from the optical character recognition part, so only for the machine printed stuff, this is our IDRS engine. So it's really the engine used by IRIS. All right.
Okay. How to create such forms project? Henning, also don't hesitate if you want to add something, right?
Okay, so this is a very interesting question. And of course, since the version 5 of Extract, we do have a completely new form designer within our solution designer. And this is really helpful because it's very, very easy to create a new hybrid form project from scratch. So to be 100% honest with you, it took me 2 hours to do this demo. Okay, what was really time consuming is creating the form, to be honest. But the design of the form and the creation of the project inside IRIS Extract took only 2 hours, period.
Yeah, I think we have made great progress into the new version of the hybrid forms from the old designer to the new solution designer, automating a lot. And as David said, it has got really easy and quick to set it up in IRIS Extract.
Yeah, definitely, because I told this because when you set one field, you can easily copy and paste to the next one. And you can even take a block and copy this block to the next one. So this is very, very easy. You only need to focus to one, let's say, checkbox or one field, and you can easily duplicate all those settings to the others.
Okay, another question from Lindsay. How do you set up background removal?
Okay, easy. You just need to have an empty form. So of course, you receive pre-filled information, but we need to have an empty one. You scan it. It will lead to a kind of an image that the system can use to completely remove this from a filled form. It's just some click. So you just need to have this kind of form, an empty form available, and the system can immediately import that. And you can apply the background removal, as I mentioned, per doc type, so form type. And this is extremely, extremely efficient when you really want to have the best image as possible, ready to be used by the data process, the data extraction process.
Okay. Another question from Mark. If my customer is looking at capturing invoice data, what is the best solution?
Oh, of course, that's an easy answer. So we have a solution package, accounts payable, ready to be used, ready to be deployed easily.
Yeah,
so
it's predefined, pre-configured, and ready to run invoices. So I guess for that, you should stick to the solution package accounts payable.
Okay, what is the pricing model? Is it volume based?
It is the usual pricing model we use at Iris. We try to make it very easy for our partners, our customers, to not have thousands of several pricing options. We are aiming at the consumption, or in the end, it's the number of pages we count. We do not count clients. We do not count parallel analyze nodes. We are just aiming on the usage of our solution and on the benefit customers will get from it. So you pay for what you use in the end, the pages that you are going to extract.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. If I have projects where I need both document classification and forms extraction, what do I do?
Yeah, as I mentioned also, you can combine project all together. So we have a top advanced classification engine. This is our digital mailroom. This can acquire all your incoming mail from whatever organization. And the purpose of the digital mailroom is to, of course, apply a sorting at document level and submit the document to the right subsequent business process. And one of them could be, if a form is detected, of course, we're going to jump into the hybrid form solution to extract the relevant data. If this is a kind of an HR document, maybe we can send an email to the HR manager, which is fine. It's a business process as well. If this is an invoice, we can put that to the solution package, accounts payable. If this is an order, we have another solution package dealing with orders. So it's pretty much easy and it's pretty much powerful because you can combine them together.
Okay, very good. We are reaching the end, and we have many questions actually. For example, one from Danielle that I would advise to take offline. Could you show how the form is designed in the solution designer? So Danielle, we will come back to you offline.
Yeah, we will follow up later on. I think that will be a little bit too much to fit in the next 60 seconds or something like that.
Yes. So any question that has been unanswered will be answered later offline. Of course, we will follow up on those questions. I would like to thank Henning, David, and Zakaria for the preparation of this webinar. That was a great webinar. And I'd like to remind you, David, if you go to the next slide so we can show to everyone what is the link where people can actually get the recording of this webinar and get also the slide deck that you have presented. So that can be downloaded from the website tomorrow. Also, on that webinar section on the website, you can register to the next webinar, which is scheduled next week on June the 17th. And that will be about selling iris extract as a service. Right. So if you have more questions, don't hesitate to reach out to your BDM. Don't hesitate to go on the website. There is a contact page with a form to be filled in. Reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to answer your questions. And by the way, David, the question was, how was the demo? Right?
Yes.
There was one option which was I didn't like it. Nobody answered that, thank God. Average mate, one did find it average. 14 people found it good, and 11 people found it a dream of a demo.
Right? Fantastic.
So that's good.
This is really, really great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all for your participation. I'm closing this webinar. Thank you and see you next time.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.